Okay, got excited about an opportunity this week that should be a lot of fun for all parties involved. Back to work here this afternoon. Ready to get better on all three sides of the ball and prepare for a good Oklahoma State team. We've already met this morning and we watched a lot of stuff on all three sides of the ball. And one of the things that keeps coming up is it's like we're looking in a mirror because of what they do offensively, what they do defensively, what they do from a special team standpoint. As many of you know, there's a lot of crossover from the coaching staff. There's 4 or 5 guys on our staff that were at Oklahoma State over the last couple of years that had an input from a schematic standpoint of what you see us doing and what you see them doing. So there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of familiarity. We know a lot about their players, and they know and about their schemes, and they know a lot about our schemes. There's not many secrets that exist in today's day of time. It comes down to motivation and determination and what kind of effort you play with. Give Coach Gundy a tremendous amount of credit for the program that he's built. How things are structured, how things are in place. A lot of the things that we're trying to get accomplished here are things that I picked up when I was there. With that said, probably the best thing that they do is, they don't worry about injuries so much. I mean, they got a lot of depth, and if one guy goes down, he's ingrained in his kids' minds to the next guy get up and play, and that's what's got to happen in college football. And if you can replace guys that go down with guys that are of equal talent, then you have a chance to win a lot of football games, and they've won a lot of football games over the last couple of years with doing it that way and playing old school football from a mentality standpoint, from a effort standpoint, from a physical standpoint. They're a physical football team that plays with tremendous effort for a variety of reasons. They like playing for each other. They like playing for their coaches, for their school, for their friends and their families. So it'll be a challenge. Every game in this league is a challenge. We understand that. Looking forward to going over this weekend. Saturday afternoon game should be a great environment and a wonderful facility. Great college football atmosphere that our guys need to look towards as an opportunity to go play and an opportunity to get out there and play the game that we all love to play. If you lose sight of that, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. So with that, I'll take some questions.
Coach, you talked a little bit about Coach Gundy. Can you talk just a little bit more about your relationship with him and maybe how he's influenced you as a head coach?
Well, we competed against each other for many years, 8 years, or I think he got there in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. But competed against each other for 8 years, so it is what it is. We were competing against each other, and actually it's probably more like around 10 years. And then had the opportunity to go work for him, which was a step up from Houston. Didn't, and this isn't anything that I haven't been quoted on saying in the past, but left Houston to go to Oklahoma State because it was a different level. It was a different league. And knew that he had a lot of things in place that were appealing to me from a facility standpoint, a recruiting standpoint, a program standpoint, and went there and had a good year. Knew there were some pretty good people in place. He does a wonderful job from a structural standpoint, from an organizational standpoint. As far as how you run the program, as far as what your day-to-day operations are like, and so it took a lot of things from him, and then from an offensive standpoint, he took a lot of things from me that we were doing over the course of the previous years that fit into what he was trying to do there at Oklahoma State. So it worked out good for both of us.
When you went there, were you thinking 1 year, or were you thinking, what was your thought process as far as being there?
Yeah, you're asking if I was ready to go take another job. That was the goal. I felt in order to get a job like that I'm fortunate to have now, it was going to take being a coordinator at a little higher level. So so took that opportunity and my conversations with him and and Mike Holder, their AD, who's a good friend and a great administrator. It wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to go there for a year and then leave for the same job. So it was going to take a job like this for me to leave the situation that I was in.
How much has their offense evolved since you were there? Has it changed much, or still about the same?
It hasn't changed much at all. It's just looking at it on tape. There's some specific things that they do better than what we do. It's the same offense. It's if you look at it very closely, it's called the same. A lot of the routes are the same. There's always going to be tweaks here and tweaks there, and an added formation or a different run play or a different pass play out of a different set. When they had JW in there for the 4 or 5 games that he was in there, did a tremendous job. But they had a little bit more quarterback run game because that fits his style a little bit more than Lunt or Chelf. But if you look at it, a lot of the same stuff, and goes back to the scheming aspect of things, not being, you're not going to out-scheme many people. The next week when we play OU, we're going to be looking at an offense that's very similar to ours as well. So that just exists in this league.
Can you do more good on good this week?
We will
have to do scout.
Yeah, we will. Not exclusively, because there's still things that we got to, there's always going to be slight differences, and we can't just sit here and pound on each other either for a whole week. But yeah, we'll be back on a normal schedule this week. Last week was different because of the situation, but we'll be back on a normal schedule this week. We will go good on good some. 1, because it makes sense, and 2, because we're able to.
Change signs or anything, signaling plays in?
As always. We do it every week anyway, and they're in the same boat. I've watched a couple of their TV copies here, and I can call out about 90% of their plays. So I'd assume that's something that is on their mind as well as it is on our mind. We got to be careful with what we do for both an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint.
On the call yesterday, you talked a little about the pass rush and being able to get pressure on you guys using 3 or 4. Can you talk about your offensive line, what those guys are doing, and what your focus is heading into Oklahoma State?
Well, there's always going to be one-on-one matchups, and I wasn't thrilled with how we protected last week. It wasn't just, there wasn't 4 or 5 guys breaking down all the time. It was a guy here or a guy there, because there's one-on-one matchups everywhere. If they rush 3, there's still going to be one guy that's got a one-on-one matchup. If they rush 4, there's going to be 4 guys or 3 guys that have one-on-one matchups. We got to win those matchups, and that ain't no different than defensively playing man-to-man coverage. If you're in a man-to-man coverage situation, you got to win that one-on-one matchup. So, if they can get there with 3, that one matchup is that important, then that's what they're going to do. If they can get there with 4, then that's what they're going to do. We got a lot of our pressure because we added a 5th, which creates 5 one-on-one matchups. And if that's what it takes to get pressure, then that's what you got to do. Obviously, the downside is the more you bring, the more space there is downfield. So if you can get there with 3, then everybody's going to drop 8. It hadn't happened very often to us this year, though.
Joe said that it was obviously your idea to put him in the box on Saturday. Did that idea come from your experience at all on seeing the field from that level, or where did that?
A couple of things. One, it just felt like we needed a change. I thought it would help Joe from, just a sterile environment. There's a lot of bullets flying on the sidelines, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not uncommon for an offensive or a defensive coordinator to call it from the box. It's because it's quiet. You can see better. Plus Joe being more of a back-end guy than a front-end guy, he can see that back end a little bit better than he could on the sidelines. Was really happy with how Coach Patterson brought energy on the sidelines. He doesn't have as much to think about, so he brought a tremendous amount of energy on the sidelines and did a great job of rallying the troops, and I thought that was positive as well.
mentioned rallying there. How are the guys this week coming off of obviously a tough loss for you, and you mentioned focus early on and the energy level?
It was tough. I mean, it's a tough loss. I think everybody would agree with that. It was a tough loss. It was tough in that locker room after the game. It was tough to come up here. It was a tough night. The Sunday coming in here was a little bit of tough. We got together, I think, 3 o'clock on Sunday, and I told them we got 3 more hours to be upset. I don't know how else you deal with it. So we watched all the tape and then, let them go Sunday, and they showed up here today. It seems like ready to go. We'll find out out there at practice. But, the biggest challenge is defensively just building on what we accomplished. We got better defensively. Everybody's like, well, you gave up 39 points. Well, yeah, we did, but we got better. And from an operations standpoint, we got better. I mean, we're off the field about 80% of the time on third down. We created a couple of turnovers. We held them to 2 yards a rush. I mean, there's a lot of positive things that happen defensively. We got to keep improving on that. Keep building on that. Keep doing a better job of communicating the calls and lining up to where we're not misaligned, to where we're all on the same page, and we can. Ooh, it's kind of a tough one there. From just improving on it. In special teams, we got to keep improving on it. We made tremendous strides on cover units. We got a couple of blocks that were able to spring us from a couple of good returns. We got to get better. We got to fix our snap. We got to fix our kick. We got to fix our wings, on the PAT team. I mean, there's some things that we got to fix. That's after every game. There's things you got to fix. You're just trying to not fix very glaring mistakes, which there was a few on special teams. And then offensively, we got to get back to where we were a month ago. Offensively, we're a group that's not very happy right now. When the last 3 weeks have been pretty tough defensively for what we faced, well, the next 4 weeks are going to be pretty tough for what we're going to face. So we got to get back to doing what we were doing well a month ago. So a pretty determined group, I think.
Dana, what are those offensive problems that you see, the things that you need to fix first, you think?
We got to play together. We're playing with, it's the same problem that defensively we're from a call standpoint, we're playing with 9 or 10 a lot. Well, we're playing with 9 or 10 from an effort standpoint now. If you got 8, 9 guys that are playing with tremendous effort and 1 or 2 that aren't, then you're playing with 8 or 9. We got to play together better. And blocking is obviously a huge thing. Trust in the system, trust in the people being in the right spots is a big thing. How do we explain what 9 drop balls? We haven't had 9 drop balls all year, and we had that. That's just 10. It's just execution. We gotta execute, and it's harder to execute against tougher teams. When you play tougher defenses, then you gotta elevate your game, and you gotta, and that's coaching. We gotta get it out of them. When things get harder, we gotta play better offensively. We gotta execute better. Have it. We're going to try to do it this week.
If they're dropping more guys into coverage, how much of it is on your run game to step up and be able to move the ball better on the ground?
Half of it, just because they drop 8 doesn't mean they have less people in the box. That's a misconception at times. There are deep safeties, which means we have to run the ball, and we average 2 yards a rush. It's not good. It's not good. Now it's more about us than it is TCU, but TCU's pretty good at run defense. Always have been. They're a top five team in rush defense. But we didn't do a great job of finishing blocks. When we play tougher teams, it gets hard. We got to find a way to get it done, and we didn't. So that wasn't good. But then the other side of that is if they're only rushing 3, we should have more time to throw the ball. They can still have the same amount of people in the box and rush 6 as they do rush 3. So if they're rushing 3, then we should have more time to throw the ball. If they're rushing 6, then there's less space. There's more space, and we should be able to get the ball and play. So it's not they're dropping 3, they're dropping 8. You should be able to run the ball. It's the same people in the box. So we from a scheme standpoint, we have the ability to do it. We just got to do a better job of executing it.
Dan, you got any explanation or theory on why home teams are having so much trouble in this conference? I mean,
it's crazy.
Only won 11 games all year. I mean,
it's crazy. I just found that out yesterday. I haven't paid much attention to it, and to know that the home team has lost more than parity. There's a lot of good teams. A lot of good teams in the Big 12. We enjoy playing on the road. We enjoy the travel and being with each other and experiencing new things. I mean, we had a tremendous time at Texas. We had a tremendous time over in Maryland. Didn't have a very good time at Tech, but we enjoy that, and it's you got to be able to handle the crowds. I mean, it's still, are we going to be rattled because it's going to be a loud crowd at Oklahoma State? I mean, it's the same atmosphere that exists here. So I think people aren't going to be they're not going to be intimidated by that kind of an atmosphere, because that atmosphere exists in 10 venues in the Big 12. I guess is my answer.
Yeah, there would seem to be some sort of a tug of war here, I guess, in expectations, where if one side knows the other really well. Bill Young and Monken, but they know you guys, so people would think, well, if you know what they're going to do, you can march up and down and do what you want. Other side is they know how to stop you. How does that tend to go when two teams know each other so well as these two seem to?
Execution. It comes to me. It comes down to the effort's got to be there. I mean, they play with tremendous effort, so we have to play with tremendous effort, and then just executing. Which means finishing blocks, running routes full speed, going through your reads offensively, checking the proper run based on what the looks you get, throwing and catching, making the catch, getting upfield, defensively being in the right spot. You have a chance to make a tackle, well, you probably ought to make a tackle. You have a chance to pull the trigger through the quarterback, you better pull the trigger through the quarterback. You have a chance defensively to strip a ball. You have a chance to make a play on the air, you need to make the play. So we're going to do our. I mean, I don't want to put it all on the players. I mean, you can't put it all on the players, but our job is to get them in the proper mindset to play determined, to play motivated, to play with tremendous effort. To get the right people out there, to try to put them in the right situation that we possibly can, and then at that point, hopefully, we've coached our guys to be able to pull the trigger and make the play.
Is that just something where you sit them down and just show either of them or you and say, this is how they play, that's how you play, be more like this? Is it just like sitting down and talking to them? It's not really out in the practice field stuff so much?
No, you got to go out there and work on it. Because again, we're going to know what they do. They're going to know what we do. Now, are we going to know exactly the correct call that they're going to do based on some sort of a tip or based on us stealing their signals or something? I mean, that might happen every now and then, but ultimately it's just line up and read keys and play ball. And you got to coach your guys to do that. We made strides on that defensively of coaching our guys to line up better, communicate better, be in position, and have the proper mentality to be able to trigger. We didn't do a very good job offensively of exactly what I just said, as far as getting them lined up right, proper mindset, putting them in position to make a play, and coaching them in a position to be able to make that play. So I'm putting it on the players, but I'm putting it on our coaches to be able to get through to the players that they can make that play. We're all in this together.
Defense, 47 points away from allowing the most points ever in a single season. Is that more of a media focus at this point, or is that maybe something the guys are aware of that could act as an extra incentive heading forward?
No, we don't worry about that. I mean, we can't worry about what's happened. We got to worry about what's ahead of us. The last time I was aware of that this is the first time West Virginia's ever played in the Big 12. It's a league that can score. It's a league that can play good defense. It's a league that can play good football. It's a league that is a whole bunch of parity exists in it. So, we got to take what's happened and we got to try to build on it. If we sit here and worry about this and worry about that, we're worrying about the wrong things.
You've handled the running game pretty well, but you're going to see the best runner in the conference this week. What special problems does he present, and how do you approach it?
Joseph Randall is a fantastic football player. He's one of my favorite kids I've ever coached. Had him for 1 year as a true freshman, and it means a lot to him. I mean, he lives it, and he's quick twitch. He's powerful. He's very skilled. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. You can throw him screens. He can line up as a receiver and throw him the ball downfield. He's a good player. And you take him out and you put Jeremy Smith in, who is downhill, physical, fast, can take it 80 yards like that. So Oklahoma State's always had good running backs. and yeah, it'll be a challenge. We got to play great, sound, be sound in our gaps and be physical and get off blocks. It doesn't stop there. I mean, Joe Wickline's a pretty good offensive line coach. Has been for 2 decades, and they've always been good up front. And they got guys up front that continuously get better, and they got good depth. So, you got guys, you're pretty good playing when you got guys up front that can block and running backs that can hit it pretty good.
Coach, against TCU, what did Ivan McCartney do to start over Stetton?
Played better all week.
What was your evaluation of Sean Alston, kind of what he added or how healthy?
Presence good. Presence good. Mentality good. Health not good. Not yet. Not there. You guys can see it. He's a different guy now than he was first couple of games. He continued to get healthier. He was more healthy last week than he was 2 weeks prior to that, which is why he suited up. So then he will continue to rehab and continue to work through it and practice more, and then we'll play him more. But it didn't look the same, which is why we didn't play him very much.
Your special teams, you had some guys who either never played before or maybe never played special teams. From what you saw, I think on the return teams especially, did that go better than you would expected, or were they out there because they were that good?
About the same people. It's about the same people. I mean, it's about the same people. They're just getting better at it. We're talking about a lot of younger guys. Kwiatkowski was great on kickoff. Garrett Hope was great on kickoff. Petaway was good on kickoff. Austin Copeland's another true freshman, played for the first time, was, getting better, and played on all 4 special teams. I mean, you got to have guys like that. This is what I've been saying for a long time. You got to have a lot of people that can play those special teams and get better at it. And I thought Coach Dunlap did a great job of that last week. Thought he gave him good keys on the kickoff, and thought we covered punts better than we have since I've been here. In the return game, we got some blocks. They were the number 1 special teams in the Big 12, and they were good at covering as well, and we got one out on them. It's just the sour taste in our mouth of the snap and the kick that nobody's happy with. Other than that, I thought we played fantastic special teams, and those young guys got to continue to get better with that and understand that that's their role and take pride in it, and they are. They're buying into that.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.